He grabbed the Deathworlder girl's arm in training. She snapped his elbow before anyone could blink. The Galactic Military Academy's training facility buzzed with nervous energy as cadets from across the Federation prepared for their first joint combat exercise. Species from 12 different worlds had gathered on Nexus Station, each bringing their unique evolutionary advantages to the program. Zethkar flexed his 4 arms, the chitinous plates along his Vorthan exoskeleton gleaming under the artificial lights. At 7 feet tall with natural armor plating, he had never encountered a challenge he couldn't overcome through sheer physical dominance. His people were renowned throughout the galaxy as warriors, their homeworld's high gravity and predatory ecosystem having forged them into living weapons. "Today we practice restraint techniques," announced Instructor Velnara, her translucent crystalline form refracting the light as she spoke. "You will be paired randomly. Remember, this is about control, not conquest." Zethkar's compound eyes swept across his fellow cadets. Most were from civilized worlds, soft beings who had evolved past the need for physical prowess. Then his gaze landed on something that made him pause. In the corner stood a small figure, barely reaching his chest in height. Pale skin, brown, hair tied back in a simple ponytail, and wearing the same standard-issue training uniform as everyone else. The name patch read Torres S, and below it, in smaller text that made Zethkar's blood run cold. Terra, Deathworld Class 12. Deathworlders. He had heard whispers about them in the Academy corridors, beings from planets so hostile that simply surviving to adulthood was considered an achievement by galactic standards. But this one looked so fragile. "Cadet Zethkar, you're paired with Cadet Torres," the instructor announced. The human, for that's what Terrans called themselves, looked up at him with dark eyes that seemed to assess him in a single glance. She showed no fear, no intimidation. If anything, she looked bored. "Sophia Torres," she said simply, extending a small 5-fingered hand. "Nice to meet you." Zethkar clasped her hand with one of his own, careful not to apply too much pressure. Her grip was surprisingly firm, but he could feel how delicate her bones were compared to his armored appendages. "Zethkar of the Vorthan Dominion," he replied. "I will try to be gentle with you, small one." Something flickered in the human's eyes, a flash of something that was gone before he could identify it. The exercise began simply enough. Instructor. Velnara demonstrated basic restraint holds, techniques designed to subdue without causing permanent damage. The Academy stressed non-lethal resolution of conflicts, a philosophy that had kept the Galactic Federation peaceful for centuries. "Now, practice with your partners," Velnara commanded. "Begin with the basic arm control technique." Zethkar moved slowly, telegraphing his intentions as he reached for Sophia's arm. She allowed him to take hold, her expression neutral as he applied the textbook grip. Her arm felt impossibly delicate in his grasp. He was certain he could snap it without effort. "Your turn," he said, releasing her. Sophia nodded and stepped closer. Her movements were fluid, economical. She reached for his primary right arm, but Zethkar found himself growing impatient with the exercise. This was beneath him. He was a warrior, not a gentle caretaker of fragile beings. Without thinking, he tightened his grip on her arm and lifted, slightly, intending to demonstrate the difference in their capabilities. It was meant to be instructive, perhaps even playful. He never saw her move. One moment he was holding her arm, secure in his superior strength and natural armor. The next, the world exploded into white-hot agony as something in his elbow joint gave way with a sound like breaking ceramics. The training hall fell silent except for Zethkar's involuntary cry of pain. He found himself on his knees, his arm bent at an impossible angle, staring up at the human girl who stood over him with the same bored expression she'd worn before. "Rule 1 of Deathworld survival," Sophia said quietly, her voice carrying clearly in the stunned silence. Never grab what you can't afford to lose. Instructor Velnara materialized beside them, her crystalline features shifting through rapid color changes, the Nexari equivalent of shock. "Cadet Torres, what have you done?" "Cadet Zethkar applied excessive force during a training exercise," Sophia replied calmly. "I responded appropriately to neutralize the threat." "Threat?" Velnara's voice rose an octave. "He's twice your size," Sophia glanced down at Zethkar, who was still trying to process what had happened. Her dark eyes held no malice, only a cold pragmatism that sent chills through the assembled cadets. "Size doesn't matter when you don't see the attack coming," she said. "On Terra, everything tries to kill you from the moment you're born. Predators, weather, plant life, microorganisms, even the ground beneath your feet. We don't survive by being the biggest or strongest. We survive by being faster, smarter, and more vicious than everything that wants us dead." She knelt beside Zethkar, her expression softening slightly. "Your people evolved on a high-gravity world with large predators, right? You developed armor and size to tank damage. We evolved on a world where everything was trying to find new ways to kill us every single day. We developed speed, adaptability, and the willingness to do whatever it takes to survive." The medical team arrived, carefully, extracting Zethkar from the training floor. As they carried him away, he heard Sophia addressing the other cadets who were still staring at her in a mixture of fear and awe. "The Academy teaches restraint and control," she said, "and those are noble ideals. But out there in the void, when pirates attack civilian transports or hostile species threaten Federation worlds, sometimes you need someone willing to break the rules." She looked around the room, meeting each cadet's eyes in turn. "That's why they recruited Deathworlders, not because we're the strongest or the smartest, but because when everything goes wrong and civilized solutions fail, we're the ones who will do what needs to be done." Instructor Velnara approached cautiously. "Cadet Torres, you'll need to report to command for disciplinary review." Sophia nodded. "Understood, ma'am." She paused at the training room door and looked back at her fellow cadets. "For what it's worth, I hope we never have to find out if the galaxy needs what we bring to the table. But if that day comes, you'll be glad we're on your side." As the door closed behind her, the training hall remained silent. Each cadet was left to contemplate the same unsettling thought. If this was what a human looked like when holding back, what would they be capable of when they truly cut loose? The galaxy was about to find out.